City of Valley Center Council meeting for August 2nd, 2022 is now in session. Roll call.
Mayor Cicerillo.
Here.
Councilmember Stam.
Here.
Councilmember Evans.
Here.
Councilmember Bass.
Here.
Councilmember Anderson.
Here.
Councilmember Gregory.
Here.
Councilmember Kerstetter.
Here.
Councilmember Wilson.
Here.
Councilmember Colbert.
Here.
Please rise for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh God, we come before you tonight with gratitude. We thank you for being with us, being a God of love who is with us in this very place. Lord, we thank you for all the appointed and elected city officers who have been called to serve and lead this wonderful community. We ask your blessing upon each and every one of us, especially our mayor, and all the members of city council and first responders and all the city council administrative workers and everyone who work hard to make this place a wonderful, wonderful place. Lord, we are about to begin this meeting tonight. We depend on you. We ask you to be in the charge of this meeting, and your name and you will be glorified through the decisions that we make tonight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty. Item 5, approval of the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Excuse me. Item 6, administrative agenda 6A, city council meeting minutes from July 19th, 2022.
Move to approve the minutes of the July 19, 2022 regular council meeting as presented. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands.
I will abstain because I wasn't here, so I don't know.
Motion carries. Thank you, sir. All right, we have no presentations or proclamations. So we're at the point of the meeting where anybody from the public that is here that would like to speak to an item that's not on the agenda. Seeing none, we have no appointments. We have no old business. Moving into new business. Item 11, new business item A, Ordinance 1379-22, amendment to city's adopted building codes for first reading.
Good evening, everyone. I am just standing up here to introduce Bill Andrews. Bill Andrews serves as our code enforcement officer and building inspector. Bill does an exceptional job in all that he does, and if you haven't had a chance to meet with him one-on-one, I would strongly encourage you to do it. Bill is a pleasure to have on staff and takes great pride in the work that he does for us and for the community. Mr. Andrews is going to present the staff memo he wrote, as well as the ordinance, which will again amend our city's adopted building code. I'll turn it over to Bill.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Glad to see everyone here. Glad to be here too. The ordinance that's proposed tonight is really one that is very simple. It's to bring in all of the building codes that are available for 3D concrete printing of buildings, which is a very new type application, one that a lot of cities and states haven't dealt with yet. So we're looking to use the International Residential Code, which 2021 they came out with an appendix codes for 3D concrete buildings. And then there are also other applicable testing procedures that are listed there as well. That's my brief statement, and how could I help?
Council, do we have any questions?
I make a motion of approval of ordinance 1379-22 amended to the city building codes for first reading. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Look at how easy that was for your first time. These guys aren't usually that easy.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, moving on to item B, ordinance 1380-22, our yearly uniform public offensive code updates for first reading.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Yes, I'm glad you pointed that out. I think in the past, sometimes this wasn't always a yearly thing, and it has become a yearly thing so that we can stay updated and keep current with statutory changes that legislature makes each year. So I will stand for any questions. This is the Uniform Public Offense Code Book, first reading, as the mayor said.
Council.
Motion to adopt ordinance 1380-22, amending chapter 9.01 of the Valley Center Municipal Code and amendments thereto for first reading.
Second.
I have a motion in a couple seconds. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries.
Thank you, Council.
All right. Item C, ordinance 1381-22, standard traffic offense code, yearly update.
Update, exactly. This is the same thing. Instead of the misdemeanor offenses, this is the traffic offenses, and it's just to keep us up to date with statutory changes. And I'll stand for any questions.
Councilmember Gregory.
The only question I have is, do we need to consider electric assisted bicycles in light of our discussion of golf carts earlier this year?
Those are becoming more popular. I mean, we can look at something if council wanted to do something different.
Do we need to?
I've not seen that many around, to be honest.
I've seen
This
more
is,
golf
this
carts.
is,
Yeah.
and this is electric. This isn't gas powered ones that we've seen in the past. So there is a difference.
Okay.
Councilmember Kerstetter.
This is actually a question for both of them. When do they go into effect? Is it after the second reading
Yeah, and published.
and published? Okay.
Councilmember Colbert.
Is the scooters only for the sidewalk use, or can it be used on the road? The electric?
The electric ones, so as long as you're following you can ride it in the roadway, and that's the preferred method, actually. As long as you're following and obeying the same traffic laws that a vehicle would.
The reason I'm
Which
asking
means
is,
stopping at a stop sign or stoplight, hand signals for turning, things like that.
because a lot of the kids that ride them on the sidewalk, and they ride up to the high school. And even when they cross the road or anything, they don't use hand signals or anything.
I think in that case, yeah, we can try some education.
Okay.
That might be the best way to handle that.
Anybody else? Do I have a motion?
Motion to adopt ordinance 1381-22, amending chapter 10.04, section 10 of the Valley Center Municipal Code and amendments thereto related to the regulation of traffic within the corporate limits of the city of Valley Center, Kansas, for first reading.
Second.
The motion is second. Councilmember Kerstetter.
I just wanted to say thank you for the summaries.
All righty. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Thank you, sir. Item D, approval of contract for GIS services.
Evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. So we're bringing before you this evening a proposal to move to not only a updated GIS platform, but a much more versatile GIS platform, utilizing ArcGIS Online. In 2017, the City of Valley Center, and as stated in my letter, entered into a contract with Midland GIS to perform data collection, and they went through the whole thing and mapped out all of our assets and created our GIS database, and that worked very well for the time. When they most recently, we've been having quite a few more struggles actually, The field, a couple of different large projects I've tried to get implemented into our, migrated into our current GIS platform. It's just been a constant struggle. Fieldcrest, I still haven't been able to get it migrated into our GIS system. The water line project, I've been having troubles. Every time I send it to them, they want it in a different format, or they want me to convert it, or there's always something. We've had to have several different layers added to our current GIS system in order to do edits or add things. So we just started researching different GIS systems, and we reached out to two different vendors, MSA Professional Services and PEC, and they both come back with respectable responses, and we are proposing that council go with the proposal from MSA Professional Services in the amount of $31,050.00 and authorize the mayor to sign. Now, a little clarification, that amount will be to get us started, create our GIS database, migrate all of our current data in, as well as create kind of like 10 to 12 different layers, 10 to 12 different applications that would allow us to not only track our stormwater, there'll be work order systems involved that could potentially replace our pub works. This would replace our current GIS system. There will be applications that'll help with Ryan's group with zoning and making maps. There will be an application that will help with Neil's group with cemeteries. Bill as well. There will be applications that Bill could use for code enforcement.
He snuck out on you.
Huh?
He snuck out.
Knock out. Well, it'll still help.
Yeah. Well, maybe we shouldn't let him have it now.
And there's so much potential for so much more, but this gets us off onto the right foot and gets us off and running.
Councilmember Kerstetter.
So I'm looking at what they sent you, and this is approximate start date of May 25th and the completion date of December 31st.
Yes.
So we're just going to adjust that.
Huh?
So basically, is the
This
quote
proposal
still?
was sent to us a while.
Yeah. Well, is a proposal still a dollar amount still applicable
Yes.
or good? Okay.
Yes, it is. I double checked.
And then, are you going to add? Actually, this is the next two questions. There's an annual license cost of $1,650 that's going to be acquired in somebody's budget, and then where's the $31,000 coming from?
So I anticipated that.
That's good.
And I stopped and spoke with Mr. Smith about that. And the initial cost will be brought out of reserve funds and split amongst water, sewer, general fund. And then the ongoing cost, which will be the annual licensing cost, that will come out of software and hardware line item for each individual department, only for their licenses that they.
Is this adaptable in the future?
Oh, yes. It's very,
okay,
very adaptable.
We're not going to be coming. You're not going to come in like 5-6 years and say we need to get another one. Okay.
Well,
I don't want to see
I'm not
that.
going to offer you any guarantees.
You
sir.
can't, I was going to say, you can't guarantee that with the way technology changes.
This is
today,
IT. This is technology. I can't-
Okay, good
I'm
point.
sorry. I'll do the best I can. Let me put it this way. I hope I don't. And we're going to do everything we can to not. Barry Smith is becoming pretty savvy with IT every day. He's very, very excited. He feels that he's going to be able to do a lot with this, more dashboards, keep the public up to date, flashy new things.
Okay.
Councilmember Anderson.
Just have a follow-up with the annual licensing. Is there anything additional to that?
No.
That is the ongoing expense then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Now,
What are we currently spending with our GIS system yearly?
that too. Right now, our current GIS system is $3,600 a year. Our PubWorks work order system, we pay $3,442 a year. And this potentially could replace both of them.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Colbert.
Oh, the only question I got is there any kind of backup system on this in case something happens?
Well, what this is,
Losing data or, you know,
oh, so this will be hosted online. Now, when they say it's hosted online, this will be a
Cloud-based.
database.
It's cloud-based.
Yeah. It'll
There's
be
no server
cloud-based.
involved here.
And so anything like that, it's usually in a server farm. I mean, it's not just up in the cloud, but it's usually in a server farm. And it's automatic. Backup and redundancy is automatic, but the mayor can probably attest to that.
Anybody else? I'm sorry, Matt. I had your light hidden over here. Councilmember Stam. Somebody rearrange this
Wanted to ask
desk.
me a question, didn't you?
I'm gonna blame this on the planning commission for rearranging stuff around here.
No, you're in my world now, and I think this is a pretty good deal. I'm kind of surprised at the price discrepancy. I thought it'd be a little closer, but I think what you're paying is, and for all the apps they're going to do for you and all the services, that's one heck of a deal. And I can attest to Midland, which was bought out by Sam, because I deal with them in my job. They have went downhill.
Oh,
I deal with them monthly on stuff, and it's a fight every time.
it's a struggle. And frankly, we just don't have time for that.
And once all the staff.
With everything this man keeps bringing to the table, we don't have time to be struggling around with something.
Just call you want. He doesn't get a chance to talk tonight. He said he wasn't going to talk, so I'm not even going to call
Hopefully I
on
could be like chief and just say, okay, I'll stand for questions.
him. All right. Anybody else? Do we have a motion?
I make a motion of approval of low qualified bid from MSA for GIS services in the amount of $31,050 and authorize mayor or city administrator to sign.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Did you have?
Nope,
Oh, okay.
nope, that's good.
Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Item 12, consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hands. Motion carries. Moving on, item 13, staff reports. Mr. Schrack.
Just one item to mention this evening. Just a reminder to everyone that our next Main Street Valley Center Farmers Market will be this Thursday from 4 to 8 p.m. So if you're around town and available, feel free to drop by. We will have at least one additional vendor than we did last time. Our first market was, we saw a lot of foot traffic, and almost everyone nearly sold out of everything that they brought. So it was a good first event for us starting almost towards the end of the season. So we'll just continue to market it. If there's anyone that you know of, please direct them to our Main Street Valley Center website. We're posting on Valley Center, the city's social media platforms as well. But again, that'll be this upcoming Thursday from 4 to 8 here on Main Street. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Owens. Well, I don't usually have to call you guys. You all just know what order. Chief Newman.
We're going so fast, I'll give you a few updates. So,
I usually forget, you know?
the council approved a lot of money for some of these projects. So our Brazos e-ticket solution is moving forward. We're having lots of online meetings right now. We've actually scheduled a train the trainer training for November. So hopefully we'll have it online maybe by the end of the year. The Axon cameras, we've got in the body cameras so far. Car camera is going to take a little longer. I think they're waiting on supplies and then installation is part of that. We got in fire department, police department, both have got in some radios. We've got all of our portables in. That's the ones that we carry on us. Police department got in mobiles for the cars. So those are all of them that are in right now are in the shop getting programmed, and we're still waiting on chargers and mics, but hopefully those will be here soon. Fire truck is moving forward as well, and hopefully we'll start seeing some progress online. I guess as they progress with that, we'll be able to look online and get pictures. So when we're able to do that, I'll try to bring some and show council. And then lastly, I'm sure we spoke before about the opioid epidemic and Narcan. I just wanted to let council know, we've been working for a while on getting the officers trained. And then we just got in our shipment of Narcan finally last week. It was free, and it came the very day after I decided to order some because I didn't want to wait any longer on the free stuff. So I was able to cancel the order. So other than that, and unless you have any questions, that's all.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Eggleston.
Did include my staff report, which mainly consisted of a brief explanation of water main incident we had. On Friday, July 22nd. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So what this consisted of is there's a 6-inch water main over there and white PVC. And what they discovered was it was leaking in a T, a metal T, and they were able to uncover it to see where the leak was just enough, and they tightened the seal around the T just to slow the leak enough to get through the weekend, come back, and on Monday we were going to uncover it, see what else was going on. Well, they went to uncover that and noticed that there was no thrust blocking, no anchoring whatsoever of that T, and as soon as you took the dirt away from it, it began to lift and twist under water pressure and was in a danger of blowing out. So immediately we were shutting down valves, slowing down water, hitting hydrants, and looking for a crew to bring in. It just suddenly became an emergency. UMC was available. 9 of their employees showed up with a vac truck that'll hold 10,000 gallons. Through the process, they made the decision, and we monitored valves and hydrants through the whole thing while they were doing this to keep water flowing till the very last minute, till we absolutely had to cut it out of there. And so while they were getting everything ready, while they were getting everything undug and uncovered and ready to cut, they had another group of guys putting all the parts together and the T and everything. And they cut that at the very last minute, and we shut down the water. With the valving in that old area, this affected 2 city blocks of people, 35 plus homes. With the way they did that, people were without water for less than 3.5 hours. So there were 9 guys. These are 9 guys that this is all they do. They do this every day, all day. A lot of what they do, they don't even have to think about it. It's rote. With that vac truck, with our vac trailer, we would have emptied our vac trailer more than a dozen times. That would have significantly took much, much more time. People would have had to have been in without water much, much longer. So it's just a very good comparison. And then it would have been all of our crew. 9 people is all of public works. So all the public works would have been dedicated to that. If something else went wrong, we wouldn't have been able to respond.
Good job. Keeping it down to the minimum. Outage. That's what we like.
And then one more thing I didn't have in here, and I'm sad to say, and at the same time, I'm very proud. A member of our staff is going to be moving on, Javin Baker. He recently got his level 4 water certification. ARWA approached him, and he told me it went through several negotiations. It was very, very hard for him to make this decision. Made him a very good offer to become a circuit rider. He's going to take his knowledge and talent and go help cities like ours through problems, through teaching and education and aid. And so we're going to lose a good man, but I'd much rather lose him that way. We have that position posted. We've got 3 applicants and have to do our best to fill that hole. Stand for any questions.
Nope, don't see any. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Shear. Mr. Arbuckle. I guess that's it. Mr. Smith's not here. And Mr. Clark said he wasn't speaking, so I am not going to call on. No, I have to, in case you have something important. And don't say good evening, everyone. And that's all I've got. If that's all you're going to say, I don't want to hear it.
No, thank you, Mayor.
Sale.
I'm learning. I knew even if he didn't have anything, he was going to say it and just say nothing. Okay. We'll move on to governing body reports. I have nothing. Councilmember Stam.
I was in contact last couple of days with some DNSS guys, and they informed me that the double tracking that they're building from Wellington East will probably be done within the year. So we should see less traffic going through here after that.
Yay. Councilmember Evans.
I have nothing.
Councilmember Bass.
Nothing for me.
Councilmember Anderson.
I wanted to thank Brent, Lloyd, and Janice and city staff that aided today. There was kind of a backup in voting, and even though it's not the city's responsibility, the election commission failed to estimate voter turnout as high as it was. And I also failed to vote early, which was my mistake. So I drove by several times at the community building and the line never got shorter. So I bit the bullet and got in line, was in line for 45 minutes outside before I made it to the doors. There was, at the time I got to the doors, there was 100 people behind me, probably another 75 to 100 inside snake through. And I think the city had received multiple complaints. I heard several in line and corrected people and let them know that we were not responsible for how the voting was going. We provided a facility, but they rerouted people so no one was standing in line any longer for the last few hours of voting, snaked them through the library. I'm sure that's the first time several people have been in that library, which is probably maybe a good thing. But I wanted to thank them. I also had a follow-up question. Do we have any contact with the election commission for our facilities and maybe suggestions that we could pass along to them? I'm sure that your guys' brains were already working on that, but just the one thing that I noticed and heard multiple complaints for, they need to have some kind of a system in place for disabled, handicapped people or older generation to not have to wait. If this was a rarity, I've never seen the turnout for especially a midterm this long, but I know there was I'm not sure how old June Marcy is, but 95 plus who was going to have to, even though she was inside, we snuck her in and got her in. And there was multiple other people we would like to have done that to, but I don't know if there's a system that they have in place. And I know that they don't have a lot of workers, they're doing stuff inside. If there's anybody we can contact about having a possible, just a plan in place if the line does grow to have them a separate line almost.
So the election commission reaches out to me with their field supervising folks. They're a volunteer person that is kind of the point for running that process over there. And when they do that, I do meet with them, set them up with their access keys. And I did give him a few tips about how they've been doing this in the past in case of hot weather, cold weather. Sometimes it never fails. It's usually one or the other, depending on the time of the election. And to try to bring them in, snake them through the building. And I came this morning and they had done that, but there was not near that many people as what's over there right now and probably still standing in line. Anyways, yes, there is a point person, short answer. And that's definitely something that we can reach out to our contact at Sedgwick County Election Office, Michelle, about and try to address those issues, specifically ADA. They do come by and do checks on the building prior to elections on a somewhat of a regular basis. Usually it's at least once every year or every other year we hear that they've come out or they're going to be coming out to check for those ADA compliance issues. So I know that they had done that just recently prior to this one. So, but we could certainly talk to them about that and work with the library staff if need be to, when we have overflows like that, I don't see any reason why we couldn't snake that through there if we need to, or look at alternative options.
I appreciate that. Well, I did take the opportunity to talk to several constituents, and I heard quite a few comments about the 3D printed housing, corrected a few negative comments about other items, and a couple of people that were bad mouthing the city because the lines were so long, and I was very quick to correct them and tell them that we were just providing the building. But for the most part, everyone was very pleasant, even though it was over 100 degrees. So I wanted to, again, say thank you to city staff and the library staff for their accommodations. That's it.
Councilmember Gregory,
I have nothing.
Councilmember Kerstetter,
I have nothing. Thank you.
Councilmember Wilson,
I'm good tonight, sir.
Councilmember Colbert.
I have nothing this evening. So if there's no other business before the council, I'll make a motion the meeting be adjourned.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.